Hello! Today we're going over Matthew 25, which is considerably shorter than Matthew 24, so this episode will definitely not be as long unless I get caught in a tangent. And, yeah, it should get posted today, which is Monday, the day it's supposed to get posted, so that's great. Assuming that this microphone does its job and does not stop recording randomly throughout. So we're going to hope for the best, and hopefully the Lord will fill me with his word and understanding as we read it, okay? So Matthew 25, and Matthew 25 is continuing where we left off with 24, where this is, I believe, still the Tuesday before Jesus' crucifixion, where he gave the 7 woes to the Pharisees. Then as they're walking back to Bethany, him and the disciples, he is prophesying to them, and this is kind of the continuation of the prophecy, more so in that he already said what the prophecy was, that he's going to come and that we are to be expectant, and now this chapter he is continuing on the message that we should be expectant and ready for his return, that we should live with that in mind, that we are always ready. So with that, let's get into it. Verse 1. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a cry, "Here is the bridegroom! Come out to meet him." Then all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise answered, "Since there will not be enough for us and for you, go rather to the dealers and buy for yourselves." And while they were going to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But he answered, "Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug it in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, "Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master.' And he also who had the 2 talents came forward, saying, 'Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here I have made 2 talents more.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master.' He also who had received the 1 talent came forward, saying, 'Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours.' But his master answered him, 'You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him, and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his righteous throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on the right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me." Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." Then they also will answer, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister to you?" Then he will answer them, saying, "Truly I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. I thought my cold was going away, but of course, as soon as I start reading, it's back with a vengeance, and my eyes are a little watery now. And I apologize because I know you can hear me sniffling because this microphone, when it does work, it works really good. And I don't know how to change it so that you don't hear all the random noises. And, yeah, so you're going to hear my sniffling, which is unfortunate. Anyways, back to verse 1. It says, "Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom." The bridegroom is God. And it's actually, God is referred to as our husband or bridegroom several times throughout Scripture. So let me just flip to one example actually I don't need that one yet. In Isaiah, and then I'm going to read you a little note from my study Bible because I think it's helpful. Isaiah 54, verse 5 through 6. "For your Maker is your husband, the Lord of hosts is his name, and the Holy One of Israel is your Redeemer, the God of the whole earth he is called. For the Lord has called you like a wife deserted and grieved in spirit, like a wife of youth when she is cast off, says your God." So that very explicitly says that God is our husband. So, the study Bible note. Oh my gosh. It's only the start, and I'm not doing very good. Okay. "It was the Jewish marriage custom for the groom and his friends to leave his home and proceed to the home of the bride, where the marriage ceremony was conducted, often at night. After this, the entire wedding party returned to the groom's home for a celebratory banquet." I think that's helpful for just understanding the story and that they're waiting on where to go for the feast and stuff. So, yeah, that's it for that. Continuing on. Sorry, I just bumped the microphone. Okay. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise, for the foolish took their... Wait, I'm sorry. I'm struggling. "For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flask of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and slept. But at midnight, there was a cry, 'Here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him.' Then all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, 'Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out.' But the wise answered, saying, 'Since there will not be enough oil for us and for you, Go rather to the dealers and buy for yourselves. So, because this is the picture of us waiting for God and making sure we're ready for them, the wise people or the wise virgins had oil on them. They were prepared for the wait. Okay? When the people that were not wise and not prepared asked them, they were like, well, I don't have enough for me and for you. So you go, you're going to have to handle that. I handled mine. Okay? It is the individual's responsibility to be ready for the bridegroom, for God. It is not the community's responsibility. You are responsible for you. Okay? You are not responsible for your neighbor and whatnot. To the extent of that, you can't make them. It is our job to spread the word. Or to, scatter the seeds. However, we cannot make them grow. Okay? We are to make disciples of all nations. Spread the word. However, again, we can present it, speak it, and other people can hear it, but that doesn't mean they take it hard. That is God's responsibility. So when the time comes to the end, we can't make other people, meet the standard, so to speak. You are responsible for you and your heart. Only you can be in control of your heart posture, and so that's what you're in charge of. You're not in charge of other people, okay? You can do your best, but you literally cannot make them, okay? You can take the horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink. Okay? Nothing too crazy there. Verse 10, and while they were going to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered, truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. So, there's not really too much I need to elaborate on because I feel that's very forthcoming in its message. But in verse 13, when it says therefore, typically if you see a therefore in scripture, especially in the New Testament, it's related to a command. Okay? So the therefores are very important. You need to know what the therefore is there for. Got you with that one. Okay, but seriously, it's very important. So when it says, watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. The command, watch, because we don't know when Christ is coming back. So we need to be ready at all hours. Okay? We need to live with heaven in mind and be prepared. Okay? Always have your blicky on you, basically. But for the Lord, a heavenly blicky. Okay? Verse 14. Let me make sure I'm keeping up with my notes. Okay. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. Obviously, the man going on the journey is God, and the servants are us. Verse 15. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. So God entrusts us with responsibilities and things according to our ability. He knows what we can handle. He knows what we can't. Okay? And so our roles and jobs and things that he gives us are based on that. Okay? If he knows that you're not capable of handling whatever, he's not going to give it to you. To the extent of, okay, hold on, I should clarify, and that God does give us things that we can't handle, but with him we can handle. So if we're with him, he knows that, or he knows like certain things while alone we can't handle it, we can handle it with him. And so, he does it based on that measurement, not just us doing it in our own power, but doing it with his power in us. Does that make sense? I think that does. Verse 16. He who had he who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. So, God, he gives the man gives the 3 servants their things. 2 servants go and invest well, and they make money. We know that God or the man was pleased with them. And then the last one hid it in the ground and did not make any more money. He didn't improve on his investment, and God was displeased with him very clearly. Okay, so what the message here is, what God gives you, he did not give you it to hoard, to keep for yourself, to be selfish. Whatever God has given you, he has given you it to keep giving it, to be generous with it. If God has given you, if you follow God, then he definitely has given you some gifts, some like spiritual gifts and whatnot. And so you are meant to use your spiritual gifts. Again, we are all called to make disciples. So you should be using your spiritual gifts. If God has blessed you financially, then you should bless others financially and be generous. 2 Corinthians 9:7 says, each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. God calls us to be a cheerful giver, not to hoard what he has given us, but to be cheerful in literally giving it away. Whatever it is, it might be money, time, using your spiritual gifts. You are called to be generous. Okay? You are not to hoard it. Do not dig a hole and hide whatever God has given you. No, you are to use it. You need to make heavenly investments. Okay? Now, verse 19. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. Again, we need to live with the Jesus' second coming in mind, because he tells us very clearly that he is coming back. He's on his trip right now, and the man will be returning to settle the accounts with us, okay? So when you want to be ready for that day when he settles the account, because if you're not ready, you're going to end up facing judgment. And if you're not, did I say you're not ready? If you're not ready, you're going to be settling the account by facing judgment. And if you are ready, then thankfully Jesus settled the account for you already, and you will be entering into heaven and doing the Lord's work there. Okay? Verse 20. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also who had the 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you delivered me 2 talents. Here I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. I want you to notice that for both servants, although they were given different amounts, the 5 talents versus the 2 talents, both of them received the same reward and the same pleased answer from the man. So it was not about the amount that they had, it was about their behavior, okay? Just like how James talks in his book that faith without works is dead. It's not that your works earn you salvation, but your works are a symptom of salvation. So it's a symptom of your heart posture. And so it wasn't about the literal amount that these servants earned, but it was the heart posture, and that they were obedient and used what they were given to produce more fruit. Isn't that beautiful? It was about their obedience. Verse 24. 4. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. So the servant F's up and hoards what was given to him. But ironically, even though the money that was given to him was not his, it was the master's money, he says, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So he's literally saying that basically, like, this doesn't belong to you because you didn't do the work, which is ironic because obviously it was literally God's or the man's money. But I mean, if you think about this today, if we want to apply this to how this looks, first of all, the servant disobeys the master because of his incorrect perception of the master. His misperspective. What's the word? I don't know. But his incorrect perception skewed his actions. That's what I'm looking for. Wow, words are really hard today, apparently. But because of his perspective of this guy, that affected all of his actions and how he behaved. Well, that might make sense for most people, but it gets you in hot water if your perspective is wrong, as it is in this case. Because again, he says that he's a hard man, reaping where he did not sow. It's like, you literally have his money. He gave you his money. He didn't take your money and want you to invest it. He gave you his money to take care of. And so, yes. But today you have people that have this. I am convinced that if you truly knew God, you would follow him. Okay? And for everyone that doesn't follow God, they don't follow him because their perspective of God is simply wrong. Because if you really believe that God is the faithful creator who loves you enough to have his son die on the cross for you and take your place when you don't deserve it, and you continue to mess up every single day of your life, and so you just know that you literally could not do anything to earn it. You don't deserve it, but he loves you so much that he did all this great stuff to you for you. He created this beautiful world and gave humans dominion over it. If you really believe that, there's no way you wouldn't be a believer in God. It's because you don't believe that you believe either God is selfish or not all powerful or all this random junk that you don't believe in God. So your perspective is wrong. And then because your perspective is wrong, you act based on that. So if your perspective is wrong and you don't believe in God, or you believe he exists, but he's not really a God, he's something else, I don't know, then you also don't believe in his law and his word, which means you're not going to follow it. So your morals are going to suck, and you're going to be like this, the wicked and slothful servant, because you based your actions, which sucked, by the way, on your misperception. Something. I'm struggling with words, but you get what I'm saying. That you based your life on something false. And because of that, you don't have a firm foundation, and everything you've made has been built on sandy ground. Okay? What verse was I on? Okay, I think I'm on 26. But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gathered where I scattered no seed. I think this is a rhetorical statement because, the master is making the point after the servant tells him, oh, I know that you reap what you have not sown. He's like, oh, you knew that, did you? Because it was my money that I gave you. In verse 27, then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So he's making the point of, you believed this thing and you were wholly wrong. How does it feel to be absolutely incorrect? Yeah. So, now on to verse 28. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. Again, the people that obeyed were given more responsibility. As it said earlier, you have been faithful over little, I will set you over much. Which is, I should have wrote this down, but that is I don't know what you call that. That will be depicted in heaven. And that if you were faithful on earth, then you will be given more in heaven. Not that... Okay, I need to explain this for a second so I don't lead people astray. So, heaven and hell. All sin separates you from God, which means you're separated from heaven, but it's because of the forgiveness that we have through Jesus Christ that you make it into heaven, okay? You cannot earn your way into heaven. But, as I said earlier, faith without works is dead. Your works reflect your salvation. And so, if you are saved, but you kind of keep it to yourself and you don't really give your full heart to obeying God and making disciples and doing as he has called you to do, you're still saved and in heaven, but there's others who are saved and obey and submit to God's will and do as he calls them to do. And so their obedience will be rewarded in heaven. Okay, so there will be a difference in rewards in that way, but you're still both in heaven. And likewise, not all sin is equal. I think people assume that it is. All sin separates you from God, but there will be like someone who didn't believe in God versus someone who didn't believe God and also, I don't know, like caused a school shooting. Like, I think most of us would agree that one of them is worse than the other. Both still bad, but one's definitely worse. And so they are punished according to that. And there are Bible verses on that. I did not go off on that tangent when I was taking my notes, so I didn't write any of those down. However, you can look that up, my friend. That is factual, but don't take my word for it. Do your own research in the Bible and come to your own conclusion. Okay. What did I just read? Verse 29. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. So for those who have obedience and have obeyed God, more will be given. And to those who are not obedient to God, more will be taken away. Verse 30, and cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Weeping and gnashing of teeth, as I mentioned several times before. I believe this is the sixth mention, the last mention of it in Matthew. I might be wrong, but the term weeping and gnashing of teeth mentioned 6 times in the book of Matthew, 1 time in the book of Luke. So it's 7 times total that's mentioned. And it's talking about hell. Alright, verse 31. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all his angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Now, this will or should sound familiar to Matthew 13. We're going to start in 37. It's Jesus explaining the parable of the weeds, and it says this. He answered, the one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed is the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. Just as the weeds are gathered and burned with fire, so will it be at the end of the age. Do I need to read further? Okay, yeah, sorry. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all causes of sin and all lawbreakers, and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. How perfect that I included that. Okay, but clearly the angels are going to be involved in Jesus's little comeback story. Not for him being a comeback, but like him just taking back what he's owed, you know. And also in Revelation 14. What am I doing? 14, yeah. Sorry. I'm struggling. Okay, Revelation 14. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I yawned. Okay, verses 17 through 19. Then another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, the angel who has authority over the fire, and he called out with a loud voice to the one who had the sharp sickle, "Put in your sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe." So the angel swung his sickle across the earth and gathered the grape harvest of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress... Oh, wait. Okay. No, that's all I needed to read, I think. Yeah. So, again, verse 31, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. So, very clear that when Jesus returns, the angels will be with him, and they will be helping conduct the final judgment. Okay. Verse 32, before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people from one another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. Okay, notice I said he will gather all people and then separate people from one another. He does not say that he's only going to gather the Gentiles or the Jews. He does not say that he's going to separate the Jews from the Gentiles. He says people, okay? So it's the people who will be saved are his followers, and the people who are not are the people that aren't his followers. Very clear. So I don't want to hear any more arguments from the KKK or Hebrew Israelites or all the terrible nonsense Christian, not really Christian, but what's a good term for it? Fake Christian cults. Okay? Verse 33. And he will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." So, a couple things I want to point out. Obviously, in verse 31, it says, when the Son of Man comes, and then now in verse 34, the Son of Man is referred to as the King, and he says, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father." So clearly, if Jesus is the Son and God is the Father, well, then we know that it's clearly talking about him at this point. Which you might be thinking, duh, Gabby, like, why do you need to argue that? Because people make some wild arguments and try and argue that Jesus isn't the Messiah or all this nonsense and stuff. So I want to be very clear that by this language we can come to the proper, correct conclusion. Okay. Also, it says, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So from the very start of the world, when Adam and Eve effed it up for everyone else, God had his plan in place. How beautiful. That he was so intentional and he's outside of time, that he had this perfect cosmic plan in place to make us right with him. All right. Let me check my notes. Okay. Verse 35. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty. Wait. Okay, I know I missed something. Okay, in Daniel. Oh, I flipped way too far. In the book of Daniel. Okay, chapter 7, we have this perfect prophecy, verses 13 and 14. I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. So, we have the Son of Man, who is Jesus, and he comes in his glory, and then he came to the Ancient of Days, God the Father, and was presented before him. Okay? And then, to him, the Son of Man, was given dominion and glory and a kingdom that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. He has dominion over everything. We literally just read, the Son of Man will come in his glory, all the angels with him, and he'll sit on his glorious throne. And then, the King will say to those on his right, come you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So, the Son is given the kingdom of the world and has power over everything. It literally says that before him will be gathered all nations. Wow. Does it sound like a fulfillment of Daniel chapter 7 verses 13 and 14? I think so, buddy. So, okay, now we can continue on. Verse 35, for I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? So, sorry, let me look at my notes. Again, the compassionate acts, the behavior, are a symptom of their salvation. Okay, it says it's the righteous ones that had done this, that had treated other people this way. And then in verse 40, it says, and the King will answer them, truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me. So taking care of other people, God's people, because I want to remind you, all people are created in the image of God. And it is, Jesus is saying right here, it's the individual's responsibility to do that. And that your individual behavior is the reflection of your individual faith. It is not the government's responsibility to do this. It is not necessarily like any group's responsibility, like the church, but it's the individual's responsibility. So individuals make up the church, and so that's when the church, steps in. But, never does Jesus say, oh, I mandate that the government or the church has to do these things. No, he shouldn't need to mandate them. It's because of your change in heart that you'll already want to do that. Does that make sense? Especially for the government, though. The government, I think people think of, you're supposed to take in the sojourner and whatnot that is talked about in the Old Testament. And then clearly if you're reading this, you might think, was it welcoming the stranger and whatnot? And they'll apply it to things like illegal immigrants going into the U.S. and that we should welcome them. Well, the individual, you should welcome them and should take care of them. And if they need food or something, absolutely, you should try to provide if you're able to. However, the government it's not their job actually to do that. It's their job to protect their citizens. And so they are right when they protect their citizens by sending people that aren't supposed to be there back to where they should be. Both are right. You can be compassionate to the individual and still hold firm to the law. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope it does. All right. Verse 41. Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." So, again, now we have clearly the unrighteous, and they are not compassionate. And they're selfish and, just doing their own thing. They don't care about other people. Verse 44. Oh, wait, let me check my notes. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Nope, I'm good. I've covered it so far. Okay. Verse 44. Then they also will answer, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not minister to you?" Then he will answer them, saying, "Truly I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." So again, how we treat people who are made in God's image is how we treat God. And so we should be honoring to people, which is, I feel like everyone would agree, but people that obviously don't believe in Christianity and the Bible wouldn't believe that we're made in God's image. But actually you're more likely to be compassionate if you do believe that people are made in God's image. Because if you don't believe that someone's made in God's image, then it's easy for you to be like, whatever, they're trash. Like, who cares? But if you're like, oh no, like God created that person in his image and he loved them enough that he created them, then you're like, oh, well, if God loved them, then certainly I ought to love them. Therefore, you're going to be more compassionate. So, last verse 46. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. So the goats, the unrighteous, eternal punishment. The sheep, the righteous, the forgiven, into eternal life. Okay? So, that was chapter 25 of Matthew. We have 3 more chapters to go, baby. What an exciting time. All right, well, thanks for watching, and hope you have a blessed week.